open the workshop tonight, and I'll just hand it over to Mr. Collins.
Well, I just want to tell you, thank you. This is important for me to kind of gauge where everyone is. We talked about this during interviews and some follow-up conversations, and what I like to do tonight is just kind of have an informal conversation about where the commission thinks we are, and we'll kind of go down this list in a few minutes. I have also scheduled, so you'll know, I scheduled this same meeting with our city employees for this coming Monday at 8:45. We'll take some time going through this exercise. And the selection committee for the city manager's position, I reached out to that group, and I'm meeting with them Monday night at 6 o'clock to do the same thing and kind of work our way through. And once I get feedback from everyone, then we'll put together kind of a hierarchy of where the lists were, and hopefully be able to get something back to the commission on an operational plan for short-term and somewhat long-term as we go. So I figure that's the best way to start, and I'm all about jumping in. So what I have for you tonight is a very simple sheet. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and I want to get your ideas of where those are. And they're really just that simple, but it's a helpful exercise. Strengths are basically things we do well, things that we know we do well, that we can continue to do, and we look forward to doing that. Weaknesses are things we don't do so well. Where can we improve that we know we can improve on? And these can be detailed or these can be simple. It just depends on your view of where we are. Opportunities, generally things we can capitalize on or can work to capitalize on. If there are things we know in the area that may be coming our way or we need to look to bring our way, that's what we're looking for in the opportunities. And on the threats, these are things that are out of our control to prepare for or to try to gain some control of. Where we are as far as, again, things we can't control. I believe during my interview, Commissioner Crutcher asked a good question about how do you handle crises such as natural disasters, things of that nature. How do you prepare for those? So that would be a threat or something that we would need to look at. So it's just really that simple. It's kind of a think out loud session, and that's the purpose of it. So for me, I guess I just like to kind of run down the list, unless you have a different way, and think of strengths. What do we do that you think we do well as a city?
I think partnerships with the schools and organizations, community organizations.
Right, the same thing. Tonight's a good example. We've got 3 different groups of youth coming in tonight to celebrate some things, the conference they had, and with the school system too. We try to work as close as we can with the school and just reach out to the community.
And I do hear that on the schools. I got an email or a call within the first week from the new announcer to come out to the football game tomorrow night, the Battle of 840, which I'll be indoctrinated in, I'm sure. So we know schools, community. Any other?
I think we work pretty well with the chamber, but I think we can improve on that.
Okay.
They're becoming more and more important to me as far as community growth goes and reaching out to new businesses coming in the city. So do real well with them, but we can do much better with the chamber.
One thing I've noticed, strength that does real well is the park. That's a draw. That thing's exceptional, and I know there's some work going on out there, but you get information about that throughout the region. So we know the park is certainly a strength for us.
And you can almost put into the next column down where it says weaknesses. I don't think we publicize the park well enough. You've got 840, you've got I-40. There's not even a sign for Fairview there. You go to Dixon and Franklin, I think. That's going on. So we need to reach out to the state for a little bit better publicity as far as the park. But we've got a little bit going now. Up here, what we pay a year, $1,200 a year, something like that.
Okay. Is it better? I can even hear it now. $1,200 a year. We need to advertise that much better than what we do, and the chamber's willing to help with that also.
Well, and I could group it all together. Just promotional, promoting our own city is a weakness for us. So you could throw park in there and, city also.
I think the park goes well in all three of the first three categories. I think the park is also an opportunity for us. I don't know that we capitalize on that asset as much as we could. I think there's things that we could probably do at the park to draw more attention to the city and use it as a marketing tool for the city.
I know I went out, I guess the Friday of the first week I was here, got the kids out, get them out of the house, let them play in the park, and they had the little concert in the park event, whatever it was, and it had rained, and they had it in the nature center. But you could tell that was really neat if we could advertise that out there some. That whoever was there could sing. I mean, they did a really good job. So I kind of got there before they got there and got it for free. But
We actually, this is a weakness we'll get down to later on, we actually had thought several years ago of expanding the nature center to where we could hold about 100 people to have meetings and things like group meetings of substantial size with up to 100 people added to that. And that's something I'd like to see us look back at again as we get financially better.
To go back to strengths, I also think of, our location is one of our strengths.
No doubt.
And when we're out promoting the town, it is a sellable point along with schools.
I agree with that 100%, where we're situated, especially with two interstate systems.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so we know we have schools and community, chamber of commerce, which we can work, but it does well. Park and Rec certainly does well. Location is a strength for us. We need to obviously work on some of that advertising for that, but certainly a strength.
Okay. Go down to weaknesses a little bit?
Yes, sir.
I think one of our weaknesses is our opportunity and workability, if you want to put it that way, with TDOT.
Okay.
They are strategic to our growth in this community, and we just need to have as best a rapport as we possibly can with them to start moving forward. I don't think we're very much on the list right now. We've had projects that's been on the list with TDOT for 20 years. Stuart, maybe you can tell me, didn't they approve widening 96 going toward 40 several years ago when it built into the plans?
They did, but they never
They never
it
did
never
anything
went
with it.
forward.
And we've only grown, so, just things like that we need to get on the list with.
Okay.
So we need to work harder with them.
Well, I think we'd be remiss not to say the Water Authority of Dixon County is a weakness right now in our situation with them. I think that's fixing or
biggest.
finding a solution to that problem needs to be real high on our priority list.
Absolutely. I have the director, please forgive me, Mr. Adams, is that right?
Michael Adams.
Michael Adams. I have a meeting with him Monday at 11:30 to kind of see where we are, take the temperature and see where we are on that. So who knows, but it's a start. But that certainly, that's going to be a threat if we're not careful with it, for sure.
Well, yeah.
But it already is. There's a lot of builders and things like that, unless it's a large, everybody knows, unless it's something large, that they're really reducing the number of homes that can be built by 10 or 12 homes, 15, 20 homes. We've got one subdivision now that's underway over on Tiger Trail. There's 20-something homes, and they did get tabs, but they had to concede about half their lots to be able to squeeze it in there. So that's, I'm like Shannon, it's just should be one of the top things on our list.
Well, I'm going to see, as part of this discussion and part of the meeting with him, of course, I've never met, but we'll get into that. But I'd like to know from them, and you guys may know this, so I may be starting over, but I'd really want to get some information from them as much as I can on GIS, if we have access to that, to see where their capacities are, see where those lines are, particularly for water. Sewer is a different animal, but I'd like to know where we are with water lines extending here, what those capacities are, size of those lines are, flow rates, that sort of thing. We can get with our fire department as a part of that, and you guys may know this, and the fire department may be here. But one easy way for us to identify that is typically your hydrants are color-coded based on fire flow. So if we can go back and figure out where those lines are, have our fire department go in and measure the flow on those hydrants, then you can color code the cap of that and you get your per minute flow rate. That tell you what your pressure is. So as we get into that, we can figure out where we're strong and where we're weak as far as water, and then go back and partner with M&C. So I think we can do some of that work that won't be too difficult to do. It'll just be time consuming.
Some of our weaknesses going out 100 toward the annexation part toward Hickman County. That's one of the weakest points that we have as far as flow rate goes.
Right?
And Wayne's very familiar with that. I don't know if he told you, but Patty and myself, I think Shanna's gone to some, have gone to some of those meetings with them.
I'm gonna list all that as a threat under Dixon County Water and then follow up. I don't know how much mapping information we'll get electronically. Typically, you don't put that out for security reasons, but we may be able to get a map of that and see what that is. So we'll get that. Again, sewer may not be as important as water as we get in, but water certainly is gonna be important.
One of the discussions you can have is what the state has come up with during their investigation as far as their capacity out here, as far as different treatments and things go to it. The capacity out here has increased. Wayne can probably tell you what the number is, but it's quite a bit. It could almost double, am I right, Wayne? If they do it the right way. So that would be a big relief as far as they go, so.
That's for water service, is that right?
Sewer.
Sewer service,
Well,
okay.
and Mr. Collins, the water part of it, I don't know that, they may know better than me, but the water part of it, I don't know that Dixon has really done a whole lot in terms of expanding the water service for the city of Ferry. I think that was already in place, and in fact, they're still purchasing the water from the same place that we've
Harpeth.
always
Yeah.
purchased it from, which is Harpeth Valley Utility District.
They get part of, they don't get it all from Harper.
No, they provide some of the water,
Yeah.
but we do buy, what, Wayne, 35–40% of the water comes from Harpeth Valley?
We actually have a contract through the city for
60?
that.
60% comes.
But I think,
But everywhere in the city has water, basically. The water authority they're putting it out in the county.
and that
Like our property
infrastructure
down
was already in
Sugarland.
place, is what I'm saying. I think that infrastructure was already here. They didn't do
Correct.
anything to,
They
expand
may have
that.
Well,
upgraded some lines, but the water was
yeah.
already here.
They upgraded lines, and then when the original contract, they upgraded the line, and then according to them, through the years, they've had to do a lot of
They
replacement.
extended some of it out, 96 toward 40 was part of the initial contract also. And of course, we gave them about $3 million to do that.
But we're still in control of that Harpeth Valley contract.
That's what I was-
We have to turn around and sign that over to allow them to use it each new year. So we do have a little pull.
and Harpeth is treated water.
Correct.
And they sell treated water.
Drinking water.
Okay.
Right.
Wow, interesting.
And if we don't give that to them, they don't have enough capacity for our citizens. They don't have enough treated water to send to us.
But it is in the contract.
Well, there's a lot of things in the contract.
Yeah, I know, but-
They don't keep up their end of the bargain either, so.
So is there a direct connection, or when I say connection, physical, in the ground water line connection between Harpeth and Dixon County Water, or does,
I believe there is.
okay. I'll look at maps to see how that,
Yeah.
I don't know an answer to that,
okay.
but I do know they buy water and they pump it up Whippoorwill Hill. It comes straight in Highway 100
Exactly.
to us.
It's on the other side of the road, isn't it?
Okay, so they resell treated water,
Correct.
okay?
Like the mayor said, the biggest problem is the sewer, not the water.
And they're in control of the sewer also?
Totally.
Okay. So Dixon County Water is also in control of the sewer, okay. That is a threat. How many citizens, I don't know how to ask this, septic versus sewer system?
I'd say less than 10% of the city's on septic.
Okay, most everyone's sewer.
You agree with that, Wayne?
Probably 5.
Less than 10% are on septic?
Okay,
The exception would be the annex sections in the last
Yeah, I mean,
years.
My street's all septic.
That's what I'm saying, with the exception of the houses that were annexed in the last 5 to 10 years.
Well, mine, Mine's been in, our street's been in for forever, but still, they didn't run it down through there because it's
Not enough.
not but 8 houses on the street, so.
Okay. All right, so back up the ladder, weaknesses, advertisement for the parks and probably the city generally, city promotions, relationship with TDOT, which clearly needs to be.
Well, and I
improved.
really think our relationship with TDOT is really improved. We met with them the other day. I mean, we meet with them a lot, but they had to do with grants. But, you know, I've never even heard of the widening of 96, and it's not on the grant list, so I wonder if it
This was before he and
expired.
Alan ever even came
This
up
is
here.
way
Yeah.
before my time.
But it's just like, we have an approved drawing of 5 lanes through Fairview
That is how,
that Sunquist completely eliminated when he became governor. It was gonna go from Bellevue to Centerville.
well, my thing with TDOT goes back to when Publix was coming in, and there was like 5 pieces of property on there. They had their own driveways coming in. And when that land was purchased and everything set to go to start this, so they were only gonna give them 1 entrance. And you're not gonna have something like that's over there now with 1 entrance. They were not gonna approve it. And we went to TDOT, a committee went up there and they just said, well, we're just sorry. We're not gonna give you any more. And that's the reason for this street right here that goes around.
Well, we also have done a lot of work with the MPO, and they do for the whole Middle Tennessee area. And we do have items, like Wayne and I had to provide a list, and one of the things was widening of Highway 100, or like future
Right.
goals, and it was widening of Highway 100 and 96, and then also Connector Road from Highway 100 to 96. Those are all under, you know, yeah. Now granted, it's farther than we want them.
Right.
Not to say, we'd love to get them moved up, but we are working with the county mayors, trying to come up with, you know, working together to speed up the process. So meaning, you know, if we come together and we commit and we throw in our own dollars, can we get moved up and different stuff like that. Now, granted, a great relationship with TDOT is always needs to be a focus. So I wouldn't say to take it off, but to say we don't have one.
No,
you
I
know,
didn't say we
don't
didn't have it,
agree.
we just need to improve it and keep it going.
Well, and one of the,
We've lost our committee member as well.
well, one of the things with TDOT, and I know that it was mentioned that there was at least a drawing at some point with this Fairview Boulevard being a 5-lane street. Well, I can tell you from firsthand experience, on my way over here today, it took me 10 minutes to get
Yeah.
from Sonic to here. So, you know, and it's only going to get worse. So that's another thing that we really need to try to push to, and of course, that was just widened, not too awfully long ago. So, but nonetheless, with the growth, just the growth that's anticipated and it's already been through here and it's approved, you know, that's only going to get more and more congested. And of course, you know, that's a main thoroughfare. I mean, people from Hickman County, this side of Dixon County, everybody travels up and down Highway 100. So, you know, I don't know why that was scrapped by Governor Sunquist or whoever did it, but it needs to happen.
Okay.
I can tell you why. He had a nice road built to his house. And it dead ends at his house.
I'm going to list that as just the Highway 100 widening, or some inclusion of whatever that would be. I know at school time is certainly an issue on that side, and you can tell 5 o'clock, I mean, the traffic patterns clearly.
Well,
One way.
we're working with some of the programs, and Wayne can tell you more about this than I can as far as where it stands now with the traffic light up here by the middle school. At the intersection right there, because it's terrible. You know,
Well, Wayne's actually been working on.
That's what he
Yeah,
can tell us more about
okay.
that, but that should have been done a long time ago, but it is in the nutrition. How's it stand right now, Wayne?
The study is underway.
The study is, we have the money, is that right? Okay. So taking a lot, they did a good job on getting that in there, but those are the type of things that we need to look at all the way through the city. I mean, we've got places where it's 5 lanes, 2 lanes, you know, in the mornings it's basically 1 lane, you know, because they have to stop traffic to get these kids into school, and it takes forever. And I think if more people utilize the bus system, we wouldn't have that big a problem, but still they don't sometimes. So the highways, the infrastructure is very important.
Okay. All right, so if we've hit strengths, weaknesses, opportunities. We know the park is an opportunity, for sure. While we're on the park, thoughts, ideas about improvements to the park? If you're going to like pick a top 3 or 4 or 1 to make an improvement to it, what would you?
I've been working on it almost since I got here. We need to have more access, handicap access to the park. I started a program 6 or 7 years ago as far as Lake made there, the first one. Handicap around it, just the one lake, just so we can have wheelchair accessibility to that. And I think the first time we came out, it was a bid, Stuart, was at $160,000. And by the time we got around to it, it was $600,000. So that's how long a process it took. But I think that's important. That part was given to us for everybody, not just people that can get around real well. So I think the accessibility for handicapped people should be in both parks, not just that park, but Veterans Park also. I think we need to show some vast improvements in Veterans Park for what we named it for and everything else, as far as the flag and the plaque and things like that. To me, that's important for the park.
Okay.
Well, and also, I was going to say, just finishing out the projects we've started, it will be huge for us. You know, there's Joanne's classroom, a handicap access. I think there's been studies done, but we just need to finish out that. You know, we're doing the paving now, which is great, but what else? Is that the only thing that lies in the
The
park?
parking lot in Joanne's classroom right now, I think the only things that got going over there. And we we discussed having some handicap accessibility to the lake as far as like a dock or something goes. Could be for both of them, to where a person with a wheelchair could get out to the water. 'Cause there's no way for them to get to the water out here, I don't believe. It go around in a wheelchair. Another thing that was brought up, I believe Ron brought it up, had met with the library at one time, was the storybook trail coming over from the library over to the center at the park, which is just an idea. So that's something I'd like to see us move forward with too. I know Ron and Patty know something
Yeah,
about
we
it.
actually are meeting on Monday with the health department, the Friends, and a representative from the library to just discuss. And then also there's opportunities for funding that they've come up with. So we're just going to discuss that. That's something I think would be easy to do.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of communities groups are really excited about it and would get behind
I think
it.
that would
It'd be
pay
a
for
good
itself.
investment, but it would include, you know, the educational aspect, the, you know, health, you know, getting out. Matter of fact, been working with Kathy Montgomery. They have some different ideas that they would like to bring to the park, just because they've recently, you know, done studies of the county and stuff like that. And so they had mentioned even looking for grants to possibly purchase bikes and donate them to the park for kids and families that they could rent them. Just some different things that we could do that would draw people in, and then also, you know, help with the factor of, you know, getting people physically active. So there's several ideas on the table that I think that are out there that we could do. And hopefully when we talk about the trail, maybe they might enlighten us on some of these other thoughts that they had.
Okay. I hear a crowd coming in, so we won't take too much longer. Let's,
We got time.
sir?
We got time.
Okay.
They're just
No,
here
we're
early.
fine.
Yeah.
Opportunities, we have the park, obviously the Veterans Park, all the items that we just mentioned there.
Can I say something about parks too?
Yes, sir?
When I think of parks, not necessarily just Bowie Nature Park, I mean, just the entire park system. And I know that the ballpark, as I grew up calling it, now is, I guess, I don't want to say it belongs to the county, but apparently there is some long-term lease between the original owner of that property and the county uses that, and that is part of Williamson County's Parks and Recreation. But where we just came from on the World Series, both Northport, or not Northport, I went through Northport to get to Laurel, Mississippi.
Wow.
But the North Myrtle Beach is what I was going to say. You know, those two ballparks were amazing. And the number of kids and teams and that come to play there. I mean, it's clear that they have tournaments at those parks, and they're city-owned year-round. Now, of course, they're a little different weather in North
Right.
Myrtle Beach than there is here. But nonetheless, you know, I don't know if there's an opportunity at some point in the future for us to partner with the county and take some action to improve the actual facilities here that our children use to play sports. I mean, because if we could get that type of, those types of tournaments here, you're talking about a major impact on your local, you know, local businesses and economy. And you could do those things, you know, all summer long. So I don't know. I just think it's an opportunity, and it really put a lot of focus on those particular towns. You know, Laurel, Mississippi. I wouldn't know where Laurel, Mississippi was, except they hosted the World Series this year.
Right.
So I don't know. I just think there's a lot of opportunity there, and I don't know how we can partner with the county and maybe even talk to the Lions Club about what that lease does or doesn't say. But
I think this year, this is the first year for the Athletic Association to have it, and I think there was a tremendous amount of growth just this first year. Would I be fair in saying it?
oh yeah, I mean, I think there was definitely an increase in the number of children that participated. And what Vice Mayor's talking about is the county had actually taken over the athletic programs in Fairview, and it had them for quite some time. There used to be a local athletic association, 501c3, and that disbanded several years ago. And now, this past year, for the first time in probably 10 or more years, we now have a local organization that has taken back over the athletics, which I sit on the board, and so does Commissioner Johnson. But I just see that as an opportunity for us, if we can find ways to partner with the county and figure out how to improve those facilities. Because you're going to see by the number of kids that come in here tonight, athletics is big.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it's a huge draw. And not only does it benefit the children and the families in the community, it also benefits businesses. So,
Well, and I will hit on, if you talk to the soccer association, they say the same thing. There's big business and tournaments, and it's a big draw. All the sports, you know, I don't know if anybody noticed on Facebook, somebody's doing the push again for the indoor pool. You know, when we've met with the county, their stance is, you know, yeah, you can get on the list, but you have to be able to come up with half of it. But those are partnerships we can do. It's just, you know, we would have to look for funding sources. But I think even what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, yes, we would love the big grand facility, but even updating what we have is a big concern for a lot of the parents and grandparents that have, you know, children involved, so, in the athletics. So, and then, you know, the other thing is you always hear most of the citizens talk about services, you know, what could be brought to the community. So I would probably say that if you generalized it, you know, improving services. Now, water and all that obviously is out of our control.
Right.
But, you know, what we actually offer to the city, what draws people in, I think we should take a closer look at.
Okay. Also, on the opportunities list, the intersections of 96 and 40 and 100 and 840 are huge. I know that 96 and 40 has some development, but it's aged, particularly in the north, I think it's the north side of 96 across. I don't know the history of that. I don't know if there's environmental concern or our environmental concerns or what?
We actually did a thing about 4 or 5 years ago, Patty was here, where the state guy came in from the state of Tennessee. We toured the city and looked at possibilities, and that intersection out there was a definite possibility for the city as far as growth and improvement, to get the state maybe to raise that area out through there and get a developer or the city to do something as far as taking it, doing something with that property to develop it and making it into something great, which is where it should be.
Well, one of our problems is a lot of that land is locked up. There's large acres that are locked up. And so we ran into that when different industries were looking to relocate. And so, and they wanted big sections of property. But I know at one point we talked about maybe voluntarily getting a group of people together on 96 that are interested in selling and maybe trying to package and promote and get them site ready to do something like that. I know the Tennessee Economic Development, we've had people come out to our industrial board. Of course, it takes money. Everything to get
That's
site
right.
ready, it takes money. And there's grants out there for 840 area that we could potentially get, but as a city, we'd have to be able to purchase the land, and then we would get the grant money come in and get it site ready, and it would go top, at the top of the list, because everything that is done through the state, you have to hit these marks. So there's opportunities there to promote and bring more businesses, but, in the last year or so, it's been hard to even talk about because just the weakness of trying to be financially stable.
Sure. The property, if you cross 40, there's a truck wash there, a hotel, there's a Shell station, I believe it is, and then just past that, there's a big vacant property.
That's in the city.
What was that?
It was like a commercial industrial type machinery place, bulldozers, they bought and sold.
It was an auction for.
Okay.
All play for those.
Gotcha, okay.
But behind that and all around connecting is a tree farm, and the family has the Whitfields, right, they have no interest of selling, and it surrounds both sides of the interstate.
Okay.
Yeah, but even the part on the front of that tree farm that is adjacent to Highway 96 and right across from the exit there, I mean, I know it's private property and the owners can do with it, I guess, as long as they're within the codes of the city or whatever, can do with it as they choose, but gosh, it's certainly an eyesore. And I mean, I don't know how you can dress up that, or how we can, do anything to dress up just that exit there. But, I mean, it's not very inviting when you come off the exit.
It's not, but it's a golden location.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is.
You're 10 miles away from anywhere, and that is just perfect.
I mean, anybody getting off that exit is either going to Dixon because they live there, coming to Fairview because they live there, or they need gas. I mean, that's the only reason they're getting off that exit. And let's face it, I think if we're going to see any significant growth in terms of sit-down type restaurants, it's probably not going to be in the center of town. It's probably going to be out there in that high-traffic area near the interstate. But, I mean, right now, nobody's going to want to, put anything out there.
Right.
I talked to the motel owner out there the other day, not the one by the liquor store, but the other one. And his capacity, his sales, if you want to, occupancy rate is up about 90%, where it was much lower years ago, and strictly because of Nashville. Nashville room rates are about $200 a night, and they just automatically coming out here. So there's a lot of opportunities out here for things like that to grow.
And that's the one next door to the Backyard Burger and
Yes.
on the
yes,
left
yes,
if you go
yes,
out towards
yes.
interstate just
If
before
you're going
you
out
get
on the
there.
left side, yes.
Okay. Okay, threats. Obviously Dixon Water is a big threat. Dixon Water and Sewer is a big threat. The growth coming this way versus being here is a threat. If we can kind of get a foothold into what they expect that growth to be, and that's going to take some advertising. It's an opportunity and a threat depending on how how you pitch it.
Everything we've discussed involves around the growth. On the water, sewer, park, I mean, everything, schools, highways, everything's gonna depend on that. And we already got a pretty good growth pattern looking at just conservative 2,500 homes approved. If you and most of them are gonna have children of some way or another, so parks, the whole thing, baseball team, it's gonna affect everything. So
Right.
and they can pretty well tell you what's going on as far as growth pattern goes, because everything else is getting full. We've got a great opportunity out here with the city to grow,
Sure,
but we have to be ready for it.
no question.
Somebody said us one time about industrials or jobs coming here, they're gonna give you 15 minutes and that's it. You better be ready when you sit down and have that 15 minutes, have the right answers, because if you don't, you're not gonna get it.
That's right. Thoughts, ideas, concerns on any of these? I know there's a lot to go through. I will, when I get this information back from the other two meetings, I'll put this together and kind of get that out in an email form. Type that up and just kind of let everybody know how they ranked. And then we'll follow that up with some sort of plan to do that. That will take some time. 90 days, maybe the end of the year, until we can figure out exactly what that is, but we'll at least we'll have a framework. The next 90 days are going to be pretty busy. We have some things to fix internally. Once we get those done, then we'll follow up with this. But I hope to have you something that's workable in the near future, so we can kind of make some stabs at it. And
Appreciate it. Good meeting.
yeah. So, and thank y'all. I know it's difficult to get here early, but it's important for us. So,
Thank
Wayne, you
you.
gonna let them in, Wayne?
thank y'all.
SWOT analysis.
There goes all the